Alright, this is OneLastMidnight, and I'm going to do a review on No Man's Sky next. Be sure to smash that like button if you liked the video. Leave comments about No Man's Sky next in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. I appreciate your support. Let's get started. For me, No Man's Sky has been a serious love-hate relationship. It started with Sean Murray's incredible tales of this unlimited procedurally generated universe where you could team up with friends, explore, and just have a great time. Unfortunately, most of that was just pure hype. People were pissed, and I was one of them. But aside from that, the game has a strangely compelling draw to it. You want to go explore the worlds and systems that you get into. It's incredibly beautiful. The creatures are bizarre. Plant life is beyond exotic. And the gameplay, I have to be honest, is somewhat addicting. You feel compelled to get to your next upgrade, whether it be your next ship upgrade, your next backpack upgrade, or your next technology upgrade. You need to have it. Must have it. Unfortunately, for me, the storyline is not that big of a draw. It reads more like the manual for stereo equipment than it does some compelling story. I find myself speeding through the story dialogues just to get out of that interface so that I can get to the meat of the game. And yes, I'm probably missing some fraction of knowledge that I have to know to find out what is the core to the big problem, the big question of No Man's Sky. But I'm okay. I'll live with not knowing. Aside from that, there are tons of quests you could do. There are go and kill quests, there are go and get quests, there are go and find quests, there are just an enormous amount of quests. So many quests that you wind up getting lost. I mean, to the point, and this might be a good thing, but to the point of you forget what you're doing at any given moment in time. What was my main objective? Because some other little shiny thing is pulling me in another direction. And that's not so bad. I mean, there are a lot of things you can do in No Man's Sky. The crafting system is a great example of that. The crafting system is incredibly in-depth. You can craft an enormous amount of items. And if you're a builder and enjoy building, the base building system has a bunch of components to it. And you can wind up building yourself a pretty complex base, which is pretty cool in and above itself. Now, No Man's Sky Next is their third iteration on No Man's Sky. It's their third update, and we're at version 1.5 if you're going by version numbers. And it added an enormous amount of features into the game. The first and the most highly touted is finally they added the multiplayer into the game. To be honest with you, after testing multiplayer for a while, I wasn't quite, how to say this, impressed with their multiplayer system. Thinking about how many people play this game and own this game, it might have been better to have a dedicated server procedurally generate the universe and then have people join that dedicated server. Unfortunately, the way they decided to implement multiplayer was allow up to 4 people to join your current save. And when I had people do that, they pretty much started over again. They did maintain their ship and their multi-tool items and their upgrades and stuff, but they had to start all over again in my world. Now, I don't know how enjoyable that was for the other people that were playing, but it seemed somewhat kind of an incomplete concept of multiplayer. Now, that's my own personal opinion, but that's what I was feeling. Another big item that was added to the next update was the graphics enhancements. Now, I have to say the graphics enhancements are pretty dang awesome. They added this concept of having rings around systems and more details to your ships, improved asteroid fields. The visual space for space itself looks even more beautiful. Dynamic, volumetric clouds. I mean, they really did an excellent job at improving the visuals. They improved character customization, or added actually character customization into the game, and this was needed really for multiplayer. You needed to be able to look unique, and they gave us a third-person view, which was absolutely needed from day one. But the fact that you could be another race and look any way you want to look, it's pretty neat. They added freighter enhancements to the game where you can now assemble and upgrade fleets of freighters, which is pretty cool, but I never got into the freighter aspect on previous versions of the game, but it's something I'm going to look into on this version. Crafting and resources have been completely revamped. They've added a bunch of new different resources, and they also actually gave you the ability to do a portable refiner, so it adds another aspect to the whole crafting system, which wasn't there before. Procedural technology is a new addition to the game, and this is actually kind of a cool concept. So you're not always finding the same things, or if you're with your buddy, you're not finding the same upgrade. The idea of procedural technology is not new. It's you know, think of any other RPG game where you're finding the magical weapon, which has, you know, +2 attack or is on fire or whatever, but it's new to No Man's Sky, and I think that's a valuable addition to the game. If you were a previous owner of No Man's Sky, you'll notice that they've changed the missions and the mission structures. There's now a wider variety of missions that you can go on, including photographic missions and feeding missions. You can actually feed creatures now, which is pretty cool. You know, freighter attacks and defense, archaeology, that type of stuff. So they gave us a wider variety. Also, if you played before and you started new, you'll notice that the whole start sequence is completely different. And they needed to change that because of all the crafting changes and the changes to the resources that they made required them to have a completely new storyline for the beginning of the game. Version 1.5 also sees huge changes to the space station. If you're a previous player, you would know that the space stations were a little bit more confined, but now they've opened it up and they've added a bunch of new shops that you can get stuff at. The flora and fauna and exploration has widely been expanded as well. On top of, they added a whole new sound system to the game. So you get a lot of new interesting sounds when you're talking to creatures or you're out exploring planets and the universe. And finally, they changed the UI. They did a complete new UI overhaul. The visual visor as you're scanning provides more information. It allows you to tag resources, shows you more information on the surface of the planet, as well as just a quality of life update to make the user interface a little bit more friendly and easier to manage. But herein lies the rub. As you get to your about 5th hour of No Man's Sky, or maybe it's your 10th hour of No Man's Sky, you quickly come to the realization that this game is completely repetitive. You spend an enormous amount of time gathering resources, whether it's to fuel your ship, your life support system, your hazard system, your multi-tool system. Everything has to be refueled, and you're constantly sitting there shooting rocks or shooting trees or shooting some other resource. I have no idea how the developer thinks that this is a fun game when all you're doing is sitting there shooting resources over and over and over again. Now, hey, going to a new world or going to a new solar system looks really cool, but ultimately they're functionally identical. You just keep doing the same thing over and over again. On top of all of that repetitiveness, there is an enormous amount of wasted time in the current game. Whether it be the milestone system, whether it be the dialogues when you're talking to any kind of creature, or the painfully slow scanning system. You're sitting there waiting. Personally, I'd rather be doing something else with my time than having to wait for these systems to complete. I understand. They're trying to go for the cinematic effect, but you know what? It just takes too much time. While they did do major improvements to the UI and the menu system, there's still a lot to be desired. I mean, mainly this game is set up for console, but you know what? If you're a PC user, it is extremely painful. I don't understand why I can't keybind to the most standard functions. I want to call my ship, or I want to change from third person to first person. Great, I want to put a keybind to it. Don't make me go through a ton of menus to get there. It is just incredibly painful. We're talking like carpal tunnel nightmare here. The UI system for PC users should be completely revamped. They need to spend an enormous amount of time fixing that thing. And finally, my last complaint. Every time they do one of these major updates, they cause havoc to the old save games. This last one was a great example of that, where they just absolutely changed every single resource that you possibly had. People would go into outdated tech, outdated resource, all in their inventories. It is a nightmare. It just feels to me, and this is my humble and honest opinion, it feels like this game is still in early access. Every time that you have a release, they wind up breaking something. Well, okay, so let me give you my final verdict. All right, I'd be lying to you if I didn't say I enjoyed the game. Painfully so, I am enjoying the game. I mean, the painful part comes into the repetitive nature of the game, but ultimately, I'm having a good time going from system to system, planet to planet, seeing these new creatures, exploring the planets, and experiencing the crazy weather, so on and so forth. Is it worth a $60 price tag? I'm not entirely too sure I'd pay $60 for it again. If it's on sale, absolutely buy it. I think you're going to have a great time with it. And it all also just equates to what you think a good game is. I mean, if you're okay with this tediousness of gathering resources and crafting items just to be able to explore, then this game is absolutely for you. If you want something a little bit more in-depth that doesn't take such a huge investment of time, maybe this game is not for you, because you purchasing this game, you have to realize that you're going to spend an enormous amount of time to do something. I'll give you a quick example. I wanted to upgrade one of the systems on my ship, and it actually took me 2 hours just to upgrade that one particular system because of the resources that I had to gather and the crafting that I had to do to be able to get those items. Now, I still feel that this game is incomplete. It's got some rough edges. It needs some performance tuning. It needs some rework for the menu system, especially for the PC users. But ultimately, I'm enjoying it, and I think you guys might too. So pick it up if you want. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about No Man's Sky in the comments below. I will have a Let's Play of my experience of No Man's Sky, so I hope you guys watch it, and we'll see you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching. Please remember to hit that like button if you liked the video, and subscribe to our channel so you can stay on top of all of our latest video releases. I release content almost every day. We'll see you guys soon. Bye.